that the system, it's simply how we've existed. I hear a lot of people talking like they politicians.
Hey, what's up guys, it's your boy Sasuke Uchiha back with another video, guys. This is a deck list that you've all been waiting for. I know I've been saying that I've been wanting to make this. I want to give a huge shout out to a lot of people. First and foremost, I want to give a huge shout out to my homeboy JP. He actually helped me with getting most of the cards for this, and I also gave him the order. And huge shout out to the Flux at that, because, well, obviously with the Flux, you guys already know I get most of my cards there with the help of JP, and of course, yeah. Either way, guys, I actually wanted to make this deck for quite a while, and I'm barely gonna give it to you guys right now because I had found this deck list online, and I actually made a little bit of my own tweaks. So if you guys find the original deck list to this, huge shout out to the YouTuber that did this list as well, or a list similar to this. So let's begin. Starting off, you always need your three Crimson Nova, the Dark Cubic Lord, mainly because 3,000 attack. You and your opponent take 3,000 damage, but he can make a second attack if you destroy, say, one of your opponent's monsters by battle. Not only that, but yeah, well, actually, that's it. Actually, all you need to do for summoning him is just revealing 3 different cubic monsters with 3 cubic cards with different names from your hand. Just a special one. Literally, he cannot be normal summoned or set, so that is kind of good. So he is one of your main boss monsters that you want to have. We're all starting off with 3 ofs. Now we are going into 3 Duza, the Meteor Cubic Vessel. He has the effect of when no more special summon, you get to bring out a when he is no more special summon. Wait, sorry guys. When he is no more special summon, you get the chance to send a cubic card from your deck to the graveyard, and he gains 200 attack for each card for each monster in the graveyard with different names until the end of this turn. So he is really good. He's one of your main milling cards that you always want to have. Yeah, you could mill 1 cubic card, so you could mill Cubic Karma or any of the cubic monsters or any cubic card at all. Then we have the 3 Vajam Seed, Vajam the Cubic Seed. Mainly his effect is cannot be destroyed by battle. At the end of this damage step, if this card battled and opponent's monster, you can place this up in your spell and trap zone as a continuous spell, and if you do, place 1 cubic counter on that opponent's monster. Monsters with a cubic counter cannot attack, also negate their effects. If this card is treated as a continuous spell card by this effect during your main phase, you can special summon this card from your spell and trap zone. So pretty much you have a way of just have it attacked or attack with it, then you effect cubic counter, special into here, then had these 2 on. Say you have you had all 3 on the field, you can bust out like another monster that would require you to send all 3 to the graveyard or 2 to the graveyard, and so forth. That is all the 3 ofs, going into the only 2 of that we actually have, which is Buster Gundil, the Cubic Behemoth. You cannot be normal summon or special summon. Cannot be normal summon / set. Must be special summon from your hand by sending 3 cubic monsters you control to the graveyard, and it cannot be special summoned by other ways. If summoned this way, this card gains 3,000 attack. This card can make a second attack and a third attack during each battle phase. If this card in your possession is sent to your graveyard by your opponent's card by battle or by card effect, you can target up to 3 cubic monsters in your graveyard, special summon them. Then you can add 3 cubic, 1 cubic card from your deck or graveyard to the hand. So pretty much, if your opponent dark holes and you don't have any other monsters, just bring out And you have like 3 Crimson Nova. Just bring out 3 Crimson Nova and then just polymerization in the end. So yeah, that is those. Then we have a Vulcan Dragni, the Cubic King. His effect is cannot be normal summon / set, must be special summoned from your hand by sending 2 cubic monsters you control to the graveyard. If summoned this way, this card gains 1600 attack. If this card is special summoned from the hand, inflict 800 damage to your opponent at the end of the damage step. If this card battled, you can target up to 3 cubic Vajram Seed in your graveyard. Send this card to the graveyard, and if you do special summon them, then you can add 1 in Diora Doom Volt, the Cubic Emperor, from your deck to your hand.
We named the baby after you.
Oh, how sweet.
Then we have Blade Garodia, the Cubic Beast. Cannot be special. Cannot be normal summon set. Of course, must be special summoned from your hand by sending 2 cubic monsters from you control to the graveyard. If summoned this way, this card gains 2,000 defense. 2,000 attack. If this card can make a second attack during each battle phase. When this card destroys a monster by battle, you can target up to 3 cubic Vajram Seed. You in your graveyard send this card to the graveyard, and if you do special summon them, then you can add 1 Buster Gundy, the Cubic Behemoth, from your deck to your hand.
I may not have some of your mother's skills, but I can build a regulation basketball hoop with my bare hands, and I didn't even need to read the manual.
Because I read the instructions.
Because you know nothing about basketball.
Sorry guys, I got a little bit distracted. Anyway, then we have 1 Dark Garnex, the Cubic Beast. Cannot be summoned / set, must be special summoned from your hand by sending 1 cubic monster from you control to the graveyard. If summoned this way, it gains 1,000 attack. When this card destroys a monster by battle, you can target up to 2 cubic Vajram Seed in your graveyard. Send this card to the graveyard, and if you do special summon them, then you can add 1 Blade Ghidorah, the Cubic Beast, from your deck to your hand. Then we have the Endiora Cubic Doomvolt. This one's effect is cannot be normal summon / set, must be special summoned from your hand by sending 3 cubic monsters you control from the grave to the graveyard. Cannot be special summoned by other ways. If summoned this way, this card gains 2,400 attack. If this card is special summoned from your hand, inflict 800 damage to your opponent. If this card is in your possession, is sent to the graveyard by your opponent's card by battle or by card effect. Target up to 3 cubic monsters in your graveyard. Special summon them, and if you do, add 1 cubic card from your deck to or graveyard to your hand. Which is actually very, very useful. Then we have, of course, the Gira Ghoulie. I don't know how the hell to say that. I think I butchered that name. The Cubic King. Cannot be normal summon / set, must be special summoned from your hand by sending 1 cubic monster you control to the graveyard. If summoned this way, this card gains 800 attack, and if this card is special summoned from the hand, inflict 800 damage to your opponent. At the end of the damage step, if this card battled, you can target up to 2 cubic Vajram Seed in your graveyard. Then send this card to the graveyard, and if you do special summon them, then add 1 Vulcan Draguni, the Cubic King, from your deck to your hand.
To be honest, I know that 12-ounce clubs are pretty cumbersome on a kid. They're not going to do much damage to
So that's actually very good. Hold on, guys. I'm going to get a little bit of drink of my coffee real fast. Hold on.
the market with babies, so the brothers went at it in the backyard.
Alright,
Grandpa.
that is all the cubic side. Now let's get into the Time Lord side.
Now, personally, I think.
We have one Mateon, the the Time Lord.
But Little Red,
Cannot be special summoned from the deck.
Joe would keep popping more.
If you control no monsters, you can normal summon this card without attributing. Cannot be destroyed by battle or card effects. If your opponent takes no damage from attacks involving this card, you take no battle damage from attacks involving this card, this attack position card. At the end of the battle phase, if this card battle, return as many monsters on the field as possible to the hand other than this card, and if you do, inflict 300 damage to your opponent for each card returned. Once per turn, during your standby phase, shuffle this card back into the deck. This actually comes in real handy because you have, like, say 2 other monsters. You had already normaled him, then you used a cubic monster to special cubic monster against special say the 2 Crimson Novas, and you didn't have a 3rd Crimson Nova, but you did have the 2. Then attack, effect, return, and then return his entire monster zone to the hand,
My sons were protected.
either main or extra deck, or extra, and then just inflict 300 damage for these 2, and then all of his. Which is actually very interesting. Then we have Michion, the Time Lord. Cannot be special summoned from the deck, of course, like all Time Lords, so I'm not going to say that anymore. Of course, you already know if you control no monsters, you can normal summon this card without attributing. Not going to say that anymore. Cannot be destroyed by battle or by card effects. This one is actually very interesting. You take no battle damage from attacks involving this card. At the end of the battle phase, if this card battled, halve your opponent's life points. Once per turn during your standby phase, shuffle this card back into the deck. So that's actually a very good effect to be using each time. So you're always going to want to see him in your hand, either opening or at least have one of the Time Lords on board first. We have Halon, the Time Lord. Of course, you guys already know I said I'm not going to be reading those. First ones cannot be destroyed by battle or by card effects. You take no damage from attacks involving this card. At the end of the damage step, at the end of the battle phase, if this card battled, if your life points is lower than your opponent's, inflict damage to your opponent equal to the difference. Once per turn, during your standby phase, shuffle this card back into the deck. Then we have Raffion, the Time Lord. So then now it goes. Cannot be destroyed by battle or by card effects. You cannot, if you take no battle damage from attacks involving this card at the end of the battle phase. If this card battled, inflict damage to your opponent equal to the attack of one monster your opponent controls that battled this card. Once per turn, during your standby phase, shuffle this card back into the deck. So, like, literally, you have this card on the field, your opponent attacks it with a bunch of monsters. Effect, you just target and yeah. Then we have 3 Summoner Monks, mainly for the extras, for the normal effect switch. Then effect, send 1 spell card you have in your hand to the graveyard, and then special summon level 4. It cannot be attributed, so that's the only problem with this card. You only have a wall monster until he destroys it, so that is a problem, but it's also good. That is literally all the monsters. I think most of the deck is monsters. Going into the spells, we do have 1 Raigeki, mainly because, you know, you always want to have that Raigeki or Dark Hole. If you do not have a Raigeki, that is your main other option, unless you want to go Lightning Vortex, but it would have to be a good deck to throw that in. Then you have the Reasoning, mainly because your opponent declares a level and you excavated the reveal cards from the top of your deck until you reveal a monster that can be normal summoned. If the monster is the same level as the one declared by your opponent, send all revealed cards to the graveyard. If not, special summon the revealed monster and also send the remaining cards to the graveyard. So technically, in a sense, all you're doing is just excavating, and then if it's not equal, if your opponent didn't declare that monster card, then level, then yeah, you get a special summon it. But if not, if he declared it, then you're screwed. Foolish Burial Goods mainly to send your cubic karma to the graveyard so you can get that extra special summon. That's literally all it's there for. Polymerization mainly because extra fusioning. Recurring Nightmare to retrieve your cubic cards from the graveyard because they have 0 defense. And the dark ones at that. 3 cubic wave. Mainly because you actually want to be able to double your attack and also place the cubic counters when banished.
Do you remember me?
Oh, no. Wait, you're a cop?
Oh yeah, I'm a cop right now, never happier to be one. Put your hands behind your back.
So, yeah.
You're under arrest in violation of New York Penal Code.
3 cubic karmas, mainly because you want to be able to be able to make your monsters gain attack, and also banish this card from your graveyard to add a cubic card from your cubic monsters from your banish this card and then to add 1 cubic monster from your deck. Then unification of the cubic lords, mainly for that special summon of a level 4 or lower cubic monster. Also for the fusion summon of your extra deck monster, which I'm gonna get into right now, which is Crimson Nova Trinity, the Dark Cubic Lord. You need 3 Crimson Nova, the Dark Cubic Lord. This card must be fusion summoned with the above materials, cannot be special summoned by other ways, cannot be targeted or destroyed by your opponent's card effects. When this card declares an attack, halve your opponent's life. When this card destroys a monster by battle, you can activate this effect. This card can make a second attack during this battle phase. If you take damage, inflict damage to your... If you take effect damage, inflict damage to your opponent equal to the damage you took. So these cards are very good. This is my cubic deck. I hope you guys enjoy. I will catch you guys later. Deuces.